Hello, everybody, and welcome to the eighth episode of the Wandering Thoughts podcast. I should really know what number I'm on when I start. It's kind of important. So, the eighth episode of the Wandering Thoughts podcast, and I'm your host, Joseph Semiati Jr., and today I'm discussing work. Why discuss work? Well, because recently I started a job. Go figure. I'm a young Gen Z, and I started a job. You'd think that I want just this podcast to be my main source of income, which, by the way, I do. I do want this job to become my main source of income, this podcast that is. But that takes a long time, and you need to be really good at it. Whether I am or not is up for debate. Point is, I need money. How do I get money? Work a job. Why work a job, though? What are the benefits of working a job? Why is a job so important to a lot of people, in particular America? Like, if you go to other countries, there's definitely countries out there where people are like, well, jobs aren't that important. Just have money. Just make sure you have money. That's it. And I think Great Britain is among them. They're just like, not so much don't get a job, more so what's more important in life. Whether they have an advantage on us or not, I don't know. I do know that currently we're facing a job market with 10.5 million available jobs. I think that's newly available jobs since the pandemic started. What the heck does that mean? It means there are 10.5 million new jobs that people are not working, whether it's nurses, whether it's working at Wawa, working at In-N-Out, working at a Wendy's or a McDonald's or Burger King. There are millions of jobs that people are not working because whether they got fired, whether the job had to shut down, whether they quit because they were afraid. But that still leads us to the question, why should you get a job? If life is like this, if all life is this, why get a job? Well, furthermore, if life goes beyond this, which it clearly does, if heaven exists and hell exists, why get a job? What are the ramifications of that? And if you even take the eternal aspect out of it, what are the ramifications of a job while you live on Earth? Are there benefits? Are there detriments? Yes, there are detriments. Yes, there are benefits. So let's cover a few of the detriments first, shall we? Having a job does put a limit on your free time. If you're like most Americans, you work probably a 40-hour week, sometimes overtime. Though a lot of jobs really hate it when you work overtime. So you get overtime. A lot of Americans brag about the overtime that they get. And I'm saying Americans because I don't think a lot of other countries are like this, but I don't live in other countries. I live in the United States of America. So lack of free time. Maybe you have a stingy boss, maybe a boss or a mean boss, but they just don't let you work the hours you want. Maybe they're rude, maybe something like that. I can tell you that boss probably won't be a boss for very long. And if they are, it's your job to make your job better. So make it better. Yeah, I can't really think of very many other detriments to working a job. Some people, if you don't love the job you're working, a lot of people go, well, then quit your job and find one you love. What if you changed your perspective and said, well, now I'm going to enjoy the job I'm working? And then come to work with a mindset of, well, I know this is my job. Maybe it's not what I want to do right now, but let me try to enjoy my job. Part of the reason why I've been thinking about this a lot more recently is because I did get a job, as I stated earlier, and half the time I don't want to go to work. Because to me, video games have a greater hold than a job does. Why go to work if I can play video games and my parents could take care of me? But that's short-term thinking. If you think short-term, how do you move forward in life? If you think short-term, you only do what's pleasurable now. You only eat the candy, the bread, the cake, the chocolate. You play the video games, you watch the pornography, you watch the movies, the TV shows. You don't go outside, you don't exercise, you don't eat healthily, you don't socialize, some people, part of their dopamine thing is socializing, but it's usually not deep, intentional relationships. So if you think long-term, what are the benefits of a job? Well, jobs can give you a social life. I mean, if you don't have one after high school, working a job gives you one. But, let me clarify, you have to make an effort. If you're working with a coworker, and it depends what job you get. Some jobs you cut off, there's walls between you. That's a terrible job. But if you're working with coworkers, usually there's going to be time where you can sit down and talk to them, or stand and talk to them, or work and talk to them. If you're working in a loud, noisy environment, sure, you probably won't be able to talk very much until lunch break. But if you're working at a convenience store, if you're working at a fast food joint, there's so much time for interpersonal connection. There, I say this because I work at a convenience store. It's not something that can be taken for granted. So why is social life so important to people? We are designed to be social. And you could be like, well, what about the introverts? Even the introverts have one or two good friends, maybe 3 or 4, and they hang out with them and they talk and they have fun. Yes, to them, it's a bit more draining to be with more people. That's perfectly reasonable. Though it does throw an interesting wrench into the job market, because how can you be an introvert and work without being extra exhausted versus an extrovert who goes to work? Would you have to work a special job as an introvert? Like construction instead of convenience, or construction instead of customer service representative? Anyway, moving on. Social life is incredibly important to the human psyche. Without people, you go insane. There's a reason why people on deserted islands go insane, because they do not have someone to talk to. They're stuck with their thoughts the entire time. Can you imagine your life where you only had your thoughts, where you only could hear and talk to yourself? That's it. Now take a moment to think about the thoughts that you think about. The self-demeaning thoughts, the thoughts about how bad life is, the thoughts about what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do for breakfast, the thoughts about how the world sucks, now the world is ending, because we do live in a world where we have access to every single piece of information we could possibly want, outside of the stuff that's censored, which is bullcrap. So we legitimately, if we had to be alone with our thoughts, we would go insane, because they're also incredibly negative. And they focus on everything that we can be doing. Well, maybe not for everyone, but there are things you can be you focus on things that you can be doing. Your thoughts are poison at times. A lot of people who have depression, a large portion of it is because of their negative self-talk. So a social life, it means you have someone to talk to, someone to connect to, someone you can share your interests and hobbies with, someone you can love on, who can love on you, bearing you don't have a terrible relationship going on there. If you do, probably a good idea to get out of said relationship. Someone to do stuff with. You don't have to do everything by yourself. If you want to go to the movies, you say, hey, buddy, let's go watch the movies. And then you get that awesome feeling. I don't know. I can't remember what chemical it is. Where when you are with somebody, it's amazing. You hug, you laugh together. Both of which are incredibly important to healing the human mind and body. There are downsides to having friends. You will fight. You will have rocky moments in your relationship. You will disagree. It is a fact of life. You will disagree on many things. I don't care if you're both conservatives or both liberals or both leftists or both Democrats or both Republicans or both Marxists. You will disagree on something. And that's okay. If you can work past those disagreements, there's a world of possibilities before you. You can have so much fun and so much connections, and you can help each other in so many ways. That's honestly the key part here, is you get to help each other get through things. Say your buddy is depressed because life sucks for him right now. His wife just divorced him, or his girlfriend just broke up with him. Great, you get to help him. You get to be there by his side. You get to help him and love him, be with him while he's suffering. And then that can be returned. I'm not saying go into a relationship with the thought of, hey, this guy is going to help me when time's tough. No, go into a relationship thinking, how much can I give this person? How much can I help this person? How much can I fill in the blank for this person? And then do it. Relationships are a two-way street. If you do not put the effort in, they will not put the effort in. Because eventually they will see it is not worth the time to put any effort into a relationship that is not returning the same to them. But relationships are so much fun. I have had fights with my best friend. Beat the crap out of each other. Not too terribly, but we did. And we were still very good friends. It's been a while since we talked. By a while, I mean like 5 months. But I'd still say we're friends. I have another friend who I'm really good friends with. And within the first 3 months of being friends, we nearly fought each other because we had a massive disagreement of opinion on what we were going to do that day. Neither of us moved. We just got mad instead of talking it out. it was something silly and dumb and something we could have avoided. Yes. But did we break the friendship up? No. We went and hung out together the next day, and we're like, we apologized on the same day. We went and did something together. We moved on with it. We didn't have to separate forever. Yes, there will be fights where you have to separate for a longer period of time. You need to cool down and then come back to it. But do not leave a gap for long, because the longer you leave that gap, the more the other person gets to think about what you said and put into the you in their mind words that you didn't say or mean, or even an inclination or or imply that you meant something. So inclination is the wrong word there. Oops-a-daisies. Imply that you meant something when you didn't. The longer that gap is there between a disagreement, the greater the damage is. So the sooner you guys can rectify a problem, the sooner things go back to being smooth. So having a social life is incredibly important to human beings. If you don't have one, you should get one. And you can start by getting a job. Because not only do jobs give you a social life, they can give you structure in your day. Why is structure important? Because we are people. We are creatures of habit. It's why change is hard for a lot of people, because we get set into a groove, and when we're in that groove, we want to stay in that groove because it's easy. Our brains are designed to take easy, to take the easy route. What's easier, playing video games every day, or getting up and changing your life and making life better? Clearly, playing video games every day. So it takes an active stance on life to make life better. When you put structure into your day, it adds a clarity to the human mind. And it's something I've always wondered, is like, why is structure so important to the human mind? I don't really have an answer for that one at the moment. I need to have an answer for it, and I will have an answer for it. So apparently structure is incredibly important because it gives you a sense of control. It allows you to focus, because think about it. When you have structure, you don't have to think about what you're doing at that time. You know what you're doing. You know you're going to work, and you know when you're done work, you can do other things outside of work. It allows you to feel organized, which, by the way, being organized is incredibly, incredibly good for the human psyche. And it helps you be more productive. And I know I did a whole episode on the benefits of routine, which I have to go back and listen to because I'm forgetting things. But structure means you can function better. It's the same thing as habits. If you form a structure, aka this is the time I get up, this is the time I eat, this is the time I go to work, which if you're a young person working in the job field, odds are your work days are going to vary drastically. And some careers even all the way up until you're 60 years old when you so desire to retire, which you probably shouldn't retire because it'd be badder and worse. Badder and worse. It would potentially impact your mental health in a negative state. Your hours will be inconsistent. But working this job, I can say that the structure it gives me is a lot nicer than just being like, what the heck did I do with myself today? I got up and now I don't know what to do. It's really important that you have a routine in your life, which like I said before, I did a whole episode on it, which you should totally go check out. It is titled Daily Routine and Its Benefits on Mental and Physical Health. Let me repeat that slower. Daily Routine and Its Benefits on Mental and Physical Health. It was episode 4. Yeah, so this is episode 8. Good. But it's important because it gives you a sense of control and productivity. It helps you have a firm grasp on what you can do today instead of what you can't do. You know you can go to work, and you know you will go to work. And then when you are done work, you will come home and you have other things you need to do because you couldn't do them while you were at work. You need to mow the lawn, maybe you need to work in your garden, maybe you need to spend time with your kids or your wife or your family, your mom, your dad, your siblings. Maybe you need to come home and work on some schoolwork. It depends on how old you are, what you're doing. It doesn't even depend on age, it depends on what you're doing with your time. Maybe you need to come home and cook dinner or cook lunch or cook breakfast. It all depends on what hours you're working. Which, fascinatingly enough, unless you're a night owl, working the night shift will be terrible for your health because you won't get the sleep you need. Anyway, so structure is incredibly important, and a job gives you structure. It allows you to know what you can do in a day and then set yourself up to do those things to the best of your ability. You know when you're going to wake up. You know when you're going to go to sleep. You know what you're going to do tomorrow to an extent. You don't have to know everything. I know for some people, including myself, it's very hard to not know what you're going to do, but you don't need to know everything. You just need to have a bare bones structure that you can work around and flesh out. If we didn't have the human skeleton, we would not be able to have muscles, ligaments, veins, tissue, organs, all the way up to our skin and our hair, because there wouldn't be anything to build upon. Put a bare bones structure in your life, and you start to be able to build upon that into other things. Like, say you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Well, that gives you the time before 9, if you get up on time, and the time after 5. If you go to bed at 10 o'clock and get up at 6 a.m., you're still going to get 8 hours of sleep, barring any sleep ailments during the night, whether it's a sleep disorder, whether it's you were on your phone too late, whether you had a late meal, whether you worked out late, whatever. Barring any of that, you can still get an 8 hours night of rest if you go to bed at 10 and get up at 6 a.m. That is a lot of time in the day to get things done. You could work out, maybe work on a side project of yours in the morning between 6 and 9. And I'm not saying you have to be a lark. You might be a night owl, so that would change. This is just from my perspective then. And then let's say you stay up till 10. Well, that gives you 5 hours after you get home to cook dinner, unless it's already been cooked, to eat dinner, to spend time with your family if you have one. If you live on your own, yes, you could sit back and watch TV, but maybe you could work out. Maybe you could work on a side project again. Maybe you could go perform some other hobbies. It literally varies on what you want to get done. And it does take a certain level of discipline to get those things done, because you have to say to yourself, I want this more than I want video games and TV and popcorn. Though I don't really know too many people who eat popcorn when they're watching Netflix. Look, they just like grab ice cream, or they grab chips, or they grab candy, which, by the way, I have done before. I'm not saying these things as somebody who hasn't done them and does them occasionally, even though my diet is incredibly restrictive. Point being, if you make the decision to make your life better, there is time to do it, as long as you cut out the things, or maybe not cut out, but diminish, depending on what it is. If it's pornography, cut it out. You don't need to be spending 3 hours watching that stuff, or even an hour, or even 10 minutes. It's not beneficial. But if you're playing video games too much, as I am, as I've said before, then you would diminish that. So it's a mindset change to go, I have the time to do this because I have the time to do this. If you have something that you want to do in the time, then you say, yes, this chunk of time I'm doing something. Great. Make it the most productive thing or relaxing thing that you can do for that time. If you had a long day, you've been up since 6 a.m., you went to work at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, you worked out in the morning, you spent some time reading and writing, great, awesome. You went to work, long, hard day at work, you come home, it's 5 o'clock, you got 2 kids and a wife, your wife needs help cooking dinner, great, help her cook dinner, sit down and eat, do your best not to snap at your kids, because everyone knows when you're tired, your self-control goes out the window. Maybe take some time for yourself, take a nap. Well, actually, don't take a nap, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. Don't take a nap, don't drink caffeine. Do not drink caffeine past 2 p.m. You need about 7 to 8 hours for the caffeine to leave your brain and stop keeping you awake. So do not drink caffeine past 2 p.m. unless you're staying up incredibly late. Like if you're a night owl and you have the night shift or the third shift. I hate the third shift. I will never work the third shift. But let's go with the premise that you are a lark, then do not drink caffeine or soda or anything of the sort high in sugar content after about between 2 and 4 p.m. depending on when you go into bed. Because 7 hours from 2 is 9 p.m., right? You can go to bed at midnight, but don't get up at 6 o'clock if you're going to bed at midnight. Like, come on, let's be real. You need 7 hours of sleep minimum if you want to maintain a healthy body, a healthy mind, to maintain healthy diet. If you don't sleep well, you don't have a healthy anything. You can't recover well, none of that. That's an entire other podcast in and of itself. Good grief. I have so many topics to cover. Sleep, birding. Still got to get the birding one, but all my friends are in college. Philosophy, some other political things I want to cover at some point. Okay, so structure is important. If you implement the structure and stick to it, you will have a better life. It's just fact. And even if your life is factually hard, if you having that structure and having the things you do in that time to relax and unwind and give you purpose in life, having a job gives you purpose. It gives you something to get up for in the morning. You can't stay in bed all day, because if you do, you're going to get fired, right? And you're not going to get your money, and you can't stay in your house, and you can't keep your car. You can't move out, none of that. It gives you purpose. It gives you Even if it's temporary purpose, it gives you purpose until you find something else. What if your purpose right now is get up, go to work my ass off, and work as hard as possible to the best of my ability, and come home and feel proud that I worked my butt off the entire time? Great. That's an awesome feeling to have. And it's even better when you come home and you're like, great, now I have money and I can do things like go to the movies or go buy some gear for my camera or something, or go backpacking or go skydiving eventually. It's a balance. Life is a balance. So structure is incredibly important, and a job gives you structure. It gives you things that can help you also get a better structure. Friendships, money that helps you buy things to give it a better structure, because if you have hobbies, you have more things to fill with your time instead of watching TV or playing video games, which don't get me wrong, those are great relaxation things, but they shouldn't dominate someone's life. And so we're back to the source. What does a job bring to you? A job also brings satisfaction. Well, maybe we should jump from satisfaction to meaning, because both satisfaction and meaning are tied. If you are satisfied in the work that you were doing, which I touched on a bit briefly, if you're satisfied in that work, what does that do? It gives you a sense of pride. It gives you confidence, because you're like, I did a good job. I came home. I can work. And then when you see that paycheck come in, you're like, I can do things with this paycheck. I may need to put half of that into my savings. I may need to put half of that into paying bills or things like that. But it's money in the bank that allows you to do things that bring meaning to life. If you're doing a job and you're doing it more than just, oh, I had to go to work and I got to make money and that's it. If you're doing a job more so, I'm going to work and I'm going to help people. I'm going to help my coworkers. I'm going to help the people who come in. I'm going to help myself. I'm going to do the best that I can to make this job give me the most out of it, and at the same time, give somebody else the most I could possibly give them without really knowing them very well. How many stories have we heard where a customer comes in and is having a crappy day? They go into a McDonald's and the person who gives them the drink is like, here, I just hope you have a wonderful day, and whatever happens, you got this. And then just, that's it. That's the only interaction they have. And that person walks away like, that person's smile was awesome. What they said meant so much to me. They don't even know me. And it helps them get through that day, maybe the next week, right? What about if someone comes in to your Walmart or your Wawa and they're looking for something? You help them. It makes their day easier, and it makes them feel like they are worth something beyond a number. Customer 455, your sandwich is ready. Well, it's more like order 455, but the customer's like, oh, I'm a number. That's my sandwich. But that person behind the counter probably doesn't look at me like I'm a human being. And in a lot of corporate areas, that's how it works, especially Walmart. You don't look at somebody when you work at Walmart like they're a human being. I don't look at Walmart employees like they're human beings half the time, because everybody at Walmart looks so freaking depressed. Usually they're overweight. They don't look well groomed. They are in a dimly lit environment for a large store. And they just don't seem to enjoy their jobs. The ones that do usually don't stay there very long. Positive thinking is of a mental attitude that you have to bring about yourself. And oftentimes, you could help your coworkers with it. It's the same thing with the friendships. If you have a job, you can help people. Having a job gives you meaning, because it means I am not for me. I am not living for myself. I'm living for something greater. And for a lot of Christians, that means God is in the workforce with me. It means whatever I'm doing to the utmost ability that God has given me, so that I can bring as much glory and honor to Him. And I say this as a Christian who feels somewhat about that whole thing, because it's just the way religion was presented to me. But that's the point here. The point here is, if you have meaning, it gives you greater purpose in what you're doing. It really does come back to, what am I doing? And why am I doing it? Why are you working at, let's say, Walmart? Because you need a job so you can have money. Great. That gives you confidence to go do other things, because you can handle that job. You can handle the snotty customers. You can handle the tasks you were given. But why? Why work that job beyond that? Why stick with it? Why be happy while working that job? Why try to help people? Because it makes life better. It makes it more meaningful. It gives life a greater purpose than me. If my life is all about me, then my life will be empty. Because if I'm only focused on me, what am I focused on? My problems, things I gotta fix, things I have to do. It makes me very self-centered. And when you're absorbed in yourself, the world becomes a little black box, and everything that happens to you happens to you. There isn't the, well, maybe they just had a bad day. There's a, you a-hole, you just cut me off, and you did it on purpose because you wanted to get at me. There is no room for grace when you are focused on yourself. There is no room for love when you're focused on yourself. And I'm not saying there's no place for self-care. There's 100% a place for self-care in working and living life. But if you don't have something to do outside of focusing on yourself, self-care is not going to be self-care. It's going to become self-sabotage. You're going to be like, well, I need all the times for myself. I need this sleep time. I need this video game time. I need me. I need to be with me. I need to be feeding me. I need to be having all the sugar. It's me. Nobody likes somebody who's self-centered. Anybody who listens to a conversation where you hear I all the time, it's not a very nice conversation. I've been there. I've done it. I don't like it when I do it because it takes the focus off the group, off my friend, off the coworker, off the customer, and puts it on me. Yes, you can relate. Yes, you should relate. But if your whole way to relate is I, me, my, it's not going to get you very far. So when you have somebody else to focus on, even if it's the customers that come in, and maybe they're jerks. I've had several customers come in who have been jerks to me. It is not fun. But then they're the customers who I make their day by saying something. I made one guy's day because he was 65 years old, and I asked him about his working out routine because he looked fit. It made his day. I didn't think it was going to make his day. I was interested in knowing what I could get out of it. But I also like having conversations with people. And conversations in and of themselves lift the human mind. I tried to put brain and mind into the same word and got brine. That's a terrible. If your mind is made out of brine, that it explains a lot of the crap that goes on in the world. But conversations uplift. Even introverts having a conversation can make them happy. It's not the same thing. Like if an introvert and an extrovert worked a job in customer service, odds are the extrovert would be happier working that job because they need that people interaction. Even on the days when I don't want to go to work, the days where I'm like, I don't want to go to work sucks, I'm depressed, boo-hoo is me, mom, life sucks, dad, life sucks, kids, siblings, friend, life sucks because I have to go to work. Woe is me, See, all that is focused on me. And that stems from, at least from what I've noticed, a desire to do the easy thing, to not go to work because I'd rather just have money, to play video games instead of working, to watch pornography. Legitimately, anything that brings a dopamine spike, I prefer over something that takes a little while to make me feel good. When I work, I am usually pretty happy if I am talking to people. So when I work, let's say register, basically as a cashier, I could go in upset, go into work, be like, I can't be upset in work, I can't fly, be a little bit miffed when I start working. Then after 30 minutes, no longer than an hour, I will start to feel happier and better about what I'm doing because I'm interacting with people. Once again, taking us back to the social aspect of this, we are social beings. And when we get out of ourselves, it brings a greater purpose to us and meaning to us because we're interacting with the people around us. Life just isn't about us anymore. It's about the people we're talking to. It's about their lives. It's about learning who they are. It's about making their day better. It's about helping them. So a job gives you both social life, it gives you structure, it gives you meaning, and there's satisfaction in working. There's just satisfaction in going to work and coming home with a paycheck at the end of the week or at the end of the 2 weeks, whatever your job decides to do. Why is that satisfactory? A lot of it is tied into the culture you live with. If you live in America, having a job is a status. It's like, I am somebody instead of nobody. A key thing I noticed when I started working was I started to feel more confident in myself and better about myself because I was working. I could relate to people who worked. Before it was like, oh yeah, I had a rough day. And then my parents come home or my dad, or I talk to other people who worked and it's like, well, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't really have any of that. I can't experience any of that. Whereas now that I have a job, I legitimately feel more like a human being. I feel like I'm a part of society now. I feel like I'm actually doing something with my life instead of just doing nothing. And a lot of people will be quick to tell you straight up, hey, it's really okay if all you do is play video games. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay, perfectly fine and reasonable to play video games all day. And you'll notice a lot of those people tend to be emotionally minded. They don't tend to look at the facts. And they also tend to be either really young or really old. So when you're susceptible to things. But I know a lot of the people who I talk to when I work are like workaholics, or at the very least believe in the value of hard work. Like, we want money. We want to support our families. We're going to work. In fact, I know several people who would come in and I talk to them and be like, yeah, I just finished my job. I'm going to go start my second job and I'm going to jump on that high. And I'm like, well, how are you doing that? How the heck are you able to go from how are you, first off, able to go, my job is a high, to I'm going to go my second job and that job's going to be my high too? That's what I have yet to be able to delve into personally, because it would be great if I could go to work thinking, this is my high, go home, okay, time to sleep and relax, high, right? But it ties back into why work is important. I could go all the way back to the main reason why I think work is important. That's because we're human beings created to work. Adam and Eve were created to work. Women less so, and that's reasonable. I know it sounds sexist, but think about it. A lot of ladies, not all ladies, there are definitely a few ladies out there who go, you know what, I don't want a family ever. And they're 50 years old and they don't regret not having a kid. That's fine. That's you. I don't think that all ladies should have kids. I don't. As much as I believe there's a difference between the sexes, I don't think it goes as drastically as men must work, women must have kids, no exceptions. But a lot of ladies, when they get 30, 40 years old, they're like, shoot, I've got 10, 20 years before I can't have kids anymore. Maybe earlier, depending on my genes and how my body's going to get rid of all of, go through menopause and get rid of my ability to have kids. I need to get married. I need to have kids. Not only that, but a lot of these ladies tend to be experiencing high levels of depression and stress because they're working. And then when they have families, they're just happier. And I'm not saying there aren't downtimes with family. You've got to manage the bills. When you see your finances dipping into the red zone, it's like, what am I going to do? My husband can't bring home any more money. I've got 3 mouths to feed, maybe 6, 7, 8. Who knows? It completely depends on your denomination of religion. Yes, actually, there is a correlation between what religion you are and how many kids you have. Usually it's the evangelicals and the Catholics and the Jews who have a lot of kids, whereas like atheists don't. It just goes to show you their priorities. But a lot of ladies do not find the satisfaction in work that guys do. Not, like I said before, not all of them. And a lot of guys, and this is just me as well, and partly because it's how I was raised. If you're raised to value hard work, and then you don't do that hard work, because if your values change and you go, hard work is useless, and you don't feel depressed or like your life is lacking something, okay, I think there's something wrong with you, but that's just me. However, hard work is essential for a guy to feel good about himself. It's why a lot of guys, when they lose their jobs, either they're fired or they have to quit for whatever reason, whether it's health-wise or government or your job is just terrible, they feel really, really bad. And often a lot of guys commit suicide after these things because they feel like life is meaningless. If I can't work my job, who am I? What am I? What can I possibly do with myself if I can't work? That's what I feel like I'm designed to do, is to go and work my butt off, make money, provide for my family. And if I can't do that, who am I? What possible purpose could I have on life if I cannot work a job? It's a terrible spiral to go down. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to find a way to fix that. How do you fix the human psyche, right? It would take generations of change before the human psyche could get past that. But we're talking about the United States of America here, and the United States of America is built on the premise that hard work will get us somewhere. It'll get us further in life than the person who doesn't work as hard as I do. And by hard work, I'm not just talking like the person who swings the sledgehammer hardest while smacking the stone. I'm talking the person who puts the most hours in. But not only puts the most hours in, makes those hours the most efficient. You could put 40 hours of work in a week, but be the most efficient worker because you know how to work your job. You do it properly. versus the guy who works 70 hours a week but doesn't get as much done because they just don't know how to do their job properly. They don't know how to keep their mind focused. They don't know how to balance their life outside of work, whatever it is. But that's the point, is work gives purpose. It gives meaning. It gives satisfaction. I don't know how many times I go work a job, whether it's usually it's a gardening job or something I want to do. I come away from it like, oh yeah, this is great. This feels like I finished something. I opened up the window, I climbed out, I went into the little box, fixed it, got out, closed the window, done. I don't have to think about that anymore. I can enjoy the fact that I did it, look at it, see it's done, and feel good that I accomplished something. Versus, all I did today was play video games. And what do video games accomplish? Just to be 100% real and honest here, nothing. There is nothing a video game that will impact your life in a positive manner. Yes, some people, when they play video games, they're less depressed. I'm happy for you, because for me, if I play video games for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is backed up scientifically, for guys, after about 90 minutes of playing video games, they start to feel depressed and stressed. For me, it's the same thing. If I'm playing video games by myself for 2 hours, I feel really depressed. Go 4 or 5 hours, I get distressed. Like, I have to literally pace the house or pace around for like about almost an hour before my body starts to go, okay, lights don't affect us. It's okay. We're not going to snap at everybody around us. It's fine. The irritation is gone. And what's the irritation? Blue light, dopamine, not enough dopamine, whatever it is, it's an irritation. But think about it this way. When you start a video game, whether it's Minecraft, Call of Duty, whatever, what are you doing? You're entering a time vortex. You're going into that video game. You're sitting down. You're focused on a screen, whether it's 3 screens or 1. You're focused on that screen for hours. Hours. You come out the other side. What's changed? Absolutely nothing. The sun may have set. The dinner may have been cooked, but you didn't do any of it. You missed time. The brain knows this. Your brain will go, holy freaking mother of God. We did nothing. We just spent 8 hours performing something that felt so good, and now we come out of it and we realize we did absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed. The homework we want to get done still needs to get done. The lawn that needs to be mowed still needs to be mowed. The task we wanted to complete is still needing to be completed. The dinner still needs to be cooked if you live alone. You still have to eat. All of these things, plus millions of others, depending on your circumstances, did not get done because you were in the time vortex of video games. Time seems to go rapidly when you're playing video games. You look up and it's been 2 hours. You're like, where did the time go? And you go back under. That's the point. That's what video games were designed to do. Give you dopamine to the point where you forget that life exists. So yeah, it's great. It's a coping mechanism for some people. For other people, it's just a way to relax. 2 hours of video games for a week, a day, whatever, and they're good. Other people, like myself, take it to extreme because it's a lot easier to play video games, get that dopamine, than it is to write a book, than it is to read a book, than it is to go birding, than it is to do photography, than it is to work on a yard, than it is to do something else to make my life better. Video games distract from what makes life better, and if you have a job, believe it or not, there's less time for video games. In fact, you would often probably come home and be like, I just don't feel like playing video games now. Like, it happens to me. But it also depends on where your desires lie, like and your brain space and what you're choosing to feed into. Because if you choose to feed into video games, you're not going to get very far in life. Let's be honest. But if you're choosing to feed into relationships, if you're choosing to feed into what life is really about, if you're choosing to feed into your religion, who God is, yourself, learning about yourself, your family, your friends, your job, if you choose to commit to your job and do it to the best of your ability, what are video games in the grand scheme of things? If they don't offer you anything, what are they? If pornography doesn't offer you anything, what is it? If watching a movie does not offer you anything in the terms of success or personal development or productivity or moving forward in life in such a way that would not fall under the categorization of stagnation, then what is the purpose of doing it if it leaves you stagnant? And my favorite definition of living life actively, or just living life, is doing stuff that does not leave you stagnant. What leaves you stagnant? What is the definition of stagnant here? Stagnant means unflowing water that does not flow, that eventually forms pond scum, algae, and nothing can live there. It's disgusting. Nothing drinks it unless there's a dire need for water. It's useless. It has no purpose. It's disgusting. It smells, everything. A stagnant life is disgusting and it smells. It doesn't attract to you anything that you want. You will not attract a wife playing video games only. And if you're a streamer on Twitch and you're making money off of it, but you have things outside of doing, if you do things outside of playing video games, that's pretty darn healthy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying video games should be eliminated 110%. No. There's a place for them. Always will be. That's the world we live in. Can't escape it. Just like Instagram will always have a place. Can't escape it, but you can control how much you do and what you do with it. And as a Christian, I can't look at a job without thinking God created me to work, which is what I was trying to touch on earlier, but then I went on this massive spree about video games. Woohoo, this is my brain, folks. God created us to work. God created Adam to work. In fact, the curse for Adam was that his work would now be hard. That's a fact of life. Work will be hard. You will not enjoy it all the time. It will not be what you always want it to be. But we were also created to enjoy work. So despite how hard it is, if you can get the mindset of, I'm working, I don't like this aspect of the job, but I'm doing it for a higher cause. I'm doing this, let's just slowly climb the ladder. I'm doing this to make money. Work can be a means to an end. You go to work to make money and that's it. It's pretty mind-numbing, yeah. It's pretty pointless if you only look at it that way, yeah. Pretty useless if you only look at it that way. It just gets you money. But then if you add a second piece to that, boing, click, a bucketic. Hey, look, working this job gives me money. Now I can go do my hobbies. Now I can go out. Now I can afford gas so I can go drive places. I can afford my car, right? That adds a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of why I do this to a job, right? Let's add another piece of that. Click. I can help people. It's not about me anymore. It's about them. I make money, but I get to help that person who's having a bad day, who's depressed. Maybe they're suicidal. I get to help them feel better about life and maybe keep them alive. I don't know, but you don't know what you're going to help somebody with just by giving them a smile and a kind word, right? Let's add another piece of that. Click. I'm going to choose to have fun at work. I'm going to choose to enjoy my work. I'm going to choose to be the best person I can be at work. I'm going to choose to pour myself into work. The intentionality of that mindset often in and of itself can bring massive ramifications to how you view life. If life is no longer a passive act of, oh, what happens to me, and more of a, whatever happens to me is great, I can deflect it, I can absorb it and use it, I can do something with life. Being active in how you do something is incredibly important to how life turns out. Because if you're active in your brain and how you're thinking and active in what you're doing, life becomes bright. Life becomes, wow, the sun is shining today. That is amazing. What can I get done? What can I do? How can I help people? What can I do to enjoy today? It's incredible to think how powerful the human brain is when it comes to the way we view life. Recently, I was on the fireside chat with Dennis Prager and a few other homeschoolers, and we were talking about work briefly, I believe. And even if it wasn't from that episode in specific, there was an episode where he was talking about, he being Dennis Prager, was talking about hard work. And he made a very good point. He said, oftentimes, the jobs we want, or the jobs we get stuck with, or the things that we want to get done require a tremendous amount of hard work and a tremendous amount of doing things we don't enjoy. That's when you need to have the mindset of, what's on the other side of this? What's the purpose of doing this? And not the short-term mindset of, well, video games make me feel good. Pornography makes me feel good. TV makes me feel good. Not exercising makes me quote unquote feel good. Working out for a lot of people, not all of them, but a lot of people can be, hey, I don't enjoy working out, but I enjoy what I get out of it, right? I get to be slimmer. I get to be bulkier. I get to be more attractive to myself and to the opposite sex, or the same sex if you're of that inclination, unfortunately. But that's the point. You have to look at it with perspective. Working out hurts. You have to rip your muscles apart to rebuild them. But the pleasure, the endorphins you get from working out, the ability to say, I work out, the ability to show that your body is healthy, that you can run a mile if you so need to and not die, if you can hold your own and have that confidence, there's a confidence that comes from working out, just like there's a confidence that comes from working a job. If you start living life and doing things, you build confidence because you're doing things. You're adding to your internal resume the things that can be done and will be done. And the more you do, the more you think you can do. Getting a job made me feel like I can go and do things outside of the house. Literally, if you went back to last year, I would not have gone to California last week. By the way, last week was the week of the 13th, 14th, yeah. Because it's the 26th today. Yep. I would not have gone in 2020. I would have been too paranoid, too depressed. 2019, I might not have gone. Well, no, I would have gone in 2019 because I would have been coming off working at Sandy Cove and been like, great, I can do so many things, so much I want to get done. But if I went back to last year, I wouldn't have done it because I didn't have confidence in myself, in anything, because I was weak, I was hungry, I wasn't doing what I should have been doing, all of that. I was so focused on me that I got really depressed and all that, and I've talked about it before. Point is, confidence is built by taking one step at a time, and my mom has told me this, and other people told me this. I have to recognize it for myself. So, work is incredibly important to how you interact with people. It teaches you people skills, it teaches you how to talk to people, how to not talk to people, how to handle angry people, how to handle happy people, how to handle sad people, how to handle yourself when you're feeling these emotions and you have to deal with somebody. It gives you structure. It helps you figure out what the heck you're going to do that day, what you could do that day, what you must do that day, and then it helps you figure out how you could set up your day. Because look, I've got work here, I got to wake up here, go to bed here, and here's the blanks that fill in the skeleton. It gives you meaning. It takes the focus off yourself and puts it on other people. You're so satisfied with your job if you do it well, and if you go, I am doing this to the best of my ability. There's satisfaction in completing a job, even if it's only just to get a paycheck. And if it's nothing else, just at the very basics of it all, it's a means to an end. It means you go to work, make money, come home, and you can take that money and put it into something else. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just trying to help your family, whether it's adding an addition to your house, you get to take that money, put it into something that you really care about, even if you don't care about work. Like, I care more about other things that I do personally, projects of my own, than I do about going to work at Wawa. But I still work my best job at Wawa. Why? Because it's the job I've been given, it's a job I have, it's a job that gives me money, and if I do the best that I could possibly do, I can get a raise, I can feel good about myself, I can help people, I can get money. And I can take that money and go do other things I like photography, or going to watch movies, or going out with a friend, or getting a car. It's a means to an end, and eventually, if you take the means to an end and attach pieces to it, it'll branch out into everything else. A social life, structure, meaning, satisfaction, all of that. And ultimately, it comes down to your brain. It all ties into how you view these things. But work in and of itself helps change that. Like, I was really depressed. I slowly got out of it, got into a position where I could work a job. And I worked a job. My mental health has gotten better now that I work. So why does not working make people unhappy? Because it gives you no social life. There's no structure to your life. There's no satisfaction in your life. There's no meaning. There's no reason to get up in the morning. You might have a social life, but you're going to feel worse because your friends go to work. Like, I had that problem where my friends worked and I didn't, and I felt less of a human being because I had free time for no reason. I didn't work hard to gain that free time. I had it because I didn't work hard. I had it because I chose not to do the hard work. Whereas my friends were like, well, we have school, or we have a job, or we have things we're going to be doing because we work hard. And that hurts. It undermines the pride I have as a man in my ability to do things, my confidence. There's no means to an end with it. If you do not have the finances to be doing things, you're going to be mentally stressed. The financial stress on your brain that you have when you don't have money is immense. It's huge. Why do you think a lot of, whether they're Americans or whatnot, who work jobs that don't meet the needs that they have, whether it's needs that they don't really need to have, like Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and the best cable and the best TVs that they go out and buy every time new one comes out, you don't need that. Legitimately, you could live life your best if you had no TV, no computers, things like that. But they're a nice thing to have, don't get me wrong. But the financial stress of not having a job is huge. And I'm not saying you have to go to work at a Wawa or a Walmart or a Target or an In-N-Out or a Wendy's or Chick-fil-A. No. You have to do a job that gives you money. Working from home is great. Get a social life while you have that working from home. Even if it's your family, branch out. Church. That's why religion is really important. It gives you purpose. It gives you a church. It gives you people to connect with and a reason to get up in the morning. Your reason, even if your reason is, God, I will bring you glory, that's not a bad purpose. Especially if you look at it with, at the end, I go to heaven, and God will judge me for all I've done on earth, and he's not going to look down on me and say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You played video games all your life. You played 1,000 hours in Warframe, 10,000 hours in Minecraft. Oh, welcome to heaven. It gives perspective to be a Christian. It really does. As much as I wrestle with the fact that Christianity exists. Like, I'm a Christian, but I wrestle with it a lot. I wrestle with a lot of things, but that's one of them. So, not having a job, you don't really have a social life. You don't have people you interact with on a regular basis. Had that problem. It hurt to not have people to talk to. It still hurts. So, I enjoy going to work when I'm at work because it means I get to talk to people, and I love talking to people. It gives you structure. Working a job does give structure. If you don't have structure when you don't have a job, your life feels out of place. It feels like everything is moving. It feels like you don't have control over everything, even if it's subconscious. That's the way the human brain works. We need control over something. Some people more than others. But we need control over something in our lives. Otherwise, we feel like life is not but a raging river that can go where it pleases. In fact, even the heckin' raging river has structure. It cannot go over its banks unless more water is poured into it. So what is a good analogy for that then? The wind? Even the wind has a set path. The best analogy is a human who works versus a human who doesn't. A worm. A man who does not work is but a worm. There's no skeleton. There's no structure. There's nothing that keeps them together. It's just wiggle, flop, and drop. You need structure to have a good life. You need discipline. You need cleanliness. If you're dirty all the time and your room's a mess and then your brain's going to be a mess. That's how the human psyche works. What's cluttered around you will end up cluttered in your brain. You don't believe me? Go find a cluttered spot in your house and clean it up. Then wait a couple days as you go around. Feel how much nicer it is to walk into that room. Your brain feels less stressed. Having a structured life means there's less stress because there are things that can be done. You know you have to do them. And then there are things that, you can do if you want to. But not having structure with a job means you've got 40 hours or so a week that you don't know what to do with yourself. Added to everything else. There's no satisfaction in playing video games unless you're going after achievements, and even then that's short-lived. It's because you can't really go to everybody around you and be like, hey, look, I just killed the Ender Dragon in Minecraft. People will be like, okay, that's cool. Great, good for you. I did it like 5 times, and I haven't played Minecraft in 10 years. Not that you could play... Well, yeah, Minecraft's only been out for about 10 years, 11 years, 10 years, yeah. All right, point being, 5 years. 5 years then, right? Nobody cares. You can't relate very much to the I defeated the Ender Dragon thing. Versus, I just got a raise at work. everybody will be like, that's awesome. What did you do? How did you do it? Because it has impact and meaning to life. You're not satisfied in life if you don't have a higher purpose. And there's no means to an end. Like I said before, there's no means to an end. Not having a job means you have none of the things I've listed before, which means you're not going to have any of those benefits. Without those benefits, your mental health tanks. Unless the job you're working was manipulative and emotionally bad, then your mental health might be a bit better for a short while, but then it will tank again. And it does depend on the country you're in. Like I said at the beginning, there are some countries over in Europe or whatnot where the job ethic isn't as strong as it is in the United States. Thus, if you're unemployed, it does not feel as bad to have less hours worked or no job at all. Whereas in the United States, I would argue rightfully so, if you don't have a job, you should get one because there's massive importance in having a job. I've listed them. I'll list them one more time. Social life, structure, meaning, satisfaction, and a means to an end. That's what a job offers, if not many other things. So why not have a job? We have a massive job market. Go get a job. COVID-19 isn't that terrifying. It's not going to kill you. Legitimately. Usually, yeah, you got a 97% chance of surviving the virus. I think you'll be okay. Get a job. Work on your social life. Work on yourself. Change yourself. Change the world. Until next time, this has been the Wandering Thoughts Podcast. Keep reading, thinking, and of course, having those wonderful discussions. Until next time, take care.